Hi, hello, hi YouTube. What is up? It is me, it is I, it is JD, and we are bringing another podcast with Talks with Rocks. And I hope you guys are enjoying this series. It's not a series. Well, this is a series inside of the podcast. So I guess, yeah, I hope you're enjoying it. And today we're going to be talking about dependent people. We'll say dependent people. Let's go. Oh shit. Are you ready? So I'll take a picture. It's for Moon. Where the fuck is Moon? Somebody get her. Jesus Christ. Oh my goodness. So getting right into it. Getting into the stuff, the dirty talk here. I don't know why I said dirty talk. That doesn't make any sense of why I said that. But anyways, let's continue. So today we will be talking about dependent people. Let's jump in, shall we? Let's get into the nitty-gritty. So emotionally dependent people have a great lack of self-control and feel great discomfort when they are not near the person they are dependent on. They feel the insatiable need to be with that person and are unable to sever the ties that bind them. Got you, okay? What is dependent in a relationship? Dependent. Two people rely on each other for support and love. Both find value in the relationship. Codependent. The codependent person feels worthless unless they are needed by or making drastic sacrifices for the enabler. The enabler gets satisfaction from getting their every need met by the other person. So dependent people are people who rely on other people for something. That's what it means. So I am dependent, or no. Faye is dependent on me because I'm her mom. You know what I mean? So like parents, dependent, yeah. Somebody you have to rely on in some way, shape, or form. Now there's another dependent, two people who rely on each other for support and love. Obviously, that could be anybody, family, relationship, friends. That could be anybody that you could be dependent on for something. But it's just more of the fact that you feel like you can't live without them, or you feel like you feel worthless without them, essentially. Dependence is often seen as a bad word and associated with being needy or emotionally unstable. However, research what really helps people become happy, successful, and even independent shows us that a strong, dependable connection is key. So you have to be dependent. What this is telling us is you have to be dependent at some point on someone for something. That's life. How are you going to move up the ladder? You have to be able to trust certain people. You have to know who to trust. I mean, you can't live without dependence or being dependent on somebody or something at some point in your life. That is just non-realistic. So if you're trying to be that person who says, oh, I don't need anybody, the only person I need is myself, well, I hate to break it to you, but you're never going to be happy. That's just facts. Moving on here, is dependency good or bad? Being slightly dependent on your significant other can be normal, but when your happiness relies on their feelings, that's where it can get unbalanced and unhealthy. Therefore, it's essential that your partner offers you the right support whenever it's needed, or else it can get crippling. Obviously, I just agree with it. Like it says, but when your happiness relies on their feelings, that's where it can be unbalanced. So that could be as small as something as in a friend. We'll put it in a friend perspective. So if you're very dependent on a friend to always give you attention and love and listen to your problems or whatever the case may be, and say you asked or say, hey, can I call you? And they said, hey, I'm busy right now, not right now, but later, and you get mad, if you blast off and yell at this person for not being able to speak to you right now, and you yell at them, you don't care about them. You're not even putting what they said into consideration. They don't have time right now. And that shows that that person is very dependent on that friend. For example, to answer a phone, to listen to their problems, or whatever the case may be. A friend, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, a family member, if anybody who cares about you, they will not yell at you. They will not yell at you. If anybody who says that they care about you, they will not yell at you. They want what's best for you, and their actions will show that as well. So if you are feeling very one-sided in any type of relationship, friends, family, boyfriend, girl, whatever, if it's feeling one-sided, I think you need to look elsewhere and get out of that, because you're starting to become very dependent on that person, and not everybody is right to be dependent on. You have to find your people that you can be dependent on, people who really care about you, and don't take advantage of them. Don't take advantage of that. Is dependency positive or negative? Dependence is often seen as a bad word and associated with being needy or emotionally unstable. However, research that really did I read this? Oh my God, that was weird. I did read that. Is dependency a form of love? However, there's indeed a difference. People who are emotionally dependent might feel they're in love and not truly realize what they really feel was in need. Let me read it again. Is dependency a form of love? However, there's indeed a difference. People who are emotionally dependent might feel that they're in love and not truly realize what they really feel was in need. They're in need. They don't care about that person. Does that make sense? There's a difference between support and love and needing something. It's not the same thing. Having a certain degree of emotional dependency on your partner is normal. It's completely normal. But when your happiness heavily relies on them, it becomes unhealthy. You should not give anyone that much power. Nobody, no friend, no family member, no boyfriend, no husband, none of that shit. Don't give anybody that much control over your life and your feelings and what goes on in your brain. Nobody gets that. You decide who gets what when. That is your choice. And what I'm about to get into and what we're about to talk about regarding dependent people, obviously, this is a big thing that I wish that I heard. And I'll go into specifics later in the live and stuff like that, of course. So if you want to watch that, please watch the rest of the live and we'll get into like personal experiences and stuff. But if somebody told me what I'm about to tell you, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have listened. But I still wish somebody told me, So if we take a look and move on to the right side of the screen here, you guys are going to see my words, what I have written down, how I feel, and my opinions. So let's get started here. My words. So let me start off by saying dependent people are not victims. when the time comes to grow up and throw themselves into what they're scared of, gosh, Jesus. Okay, I had to start over. Okay, let me start off by saying dependent people are not victims. When the time comes to grow up and throw themselves into what they're scared of to become better, they need to be able to make their own choices, because getting dependent on a person a little bit is pretty normal. But don't let their happiness be determined by that person's feelings. People must be able to rely on at least one person. Just make sure they care and have good intentions. Someone who cares will find the patience to understand. Somebody who gives a shit. Somebody who wants to be your friend. Somebody who feels the same way as you. Whatever the case may be, they will find the patience to understand what you need. You know what I mean? And if they don't, then they just don't care about you that much. And there's nothing wrong with that either. That just, you're getting an answer, you know? But let's go back to that first sentence over here. Let me start off by saying dependent people are not victims. I can't say this enough. Dependent people feel like victims. They feel like huge victims. And I will say you could become, it's easy to become a victim. Okay, it is possible to become a victim. But just talking about dependent people with another person, you have to realize how much power that you're choosing to give up. You're choosing to give them that power. That is not their problem. It's not their problem necessarily what you allow to be treated like. What are you going to allow and what are you not going to allow? What are you going to stand up for and what are you not going to stand up for? These are things called your voice, and you need to find it. And, you know, not everybody can find it necessarily, and not everybody does, and I'm still finding mine. Okay, it's not an easy journey to go down, for sure. But your voice is what it needs to be heard, okay? And when I say you can become a victim, it's what actions are taking place after things like that could happen. I mean, everybody's heard of, you know, things like this escalating into women and men getting beat. This is escalated into people getting killed, murdered. I mean, whatever the case may be. But when it comes to your choices and what you decide to do for yourself, that is up to you, for sure. So you are not a victim, and any dependent out there is not a victim. I'm fully capable of speaking. I'm fully capable of, you know, being mature, wise, whatever the case may be. Do I have a hard time doing that? Yeah, I still have a hard time doing that. And I still have a hard time finding my voice sometimes. I do. And sometimes I get scared and I get nervous and I'm too scared. Not scared and oh God, it sounds like a red flag. Just normally scared. Like I'm scared to tell somebody that they did something wrong. You know, because the reaction that you could receive might not be the best one, you know what I mean? Or you might not be understood, but it's all part of the chances and stuff. But really what this all comes down to, if you care about that person, then you will want them. You will want them to be independent. You will want them to find things that they're interested in and, you know, accomplish things, and you'll be happy about all of those things. So, you know, you're not. And then when the time comes to grow up and throw yourself into what you're scared of, when the time comes, so you have a dependent people who feel like they can't get out of a situation, right? When the time comes, you're going to have to bust out of it and stay, whether it be stand up for yourself, whether it be get out of there, whether it be don't let people walk all over you, don't let people speak for you, whatever the case may be, and you need to stop being so dependent on somebody. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone, and you are going to have to throw yourself into what you're scared of. A lot of dependent people don't do anything different because they're scared of what's on the other side. There are more women scared of leaving a situation because they don't have money, they don't have jobs, they don't have any of that, but then they complain about how they're being treated but choose to do nothing about it. At that point, it's not anybody's, I know people don't like to hear that, but it's really not anybody's problem except yourself. If you choose to not go get a job and make money to find another place to live, if you choose to delay finding independence, then that's a you problem. That's anxiety that you're going to have to work through. That's trauma and baggage that every dependent person has to work through by themselves. And it's a tough one. So, in conclusion, being dependent on someone a bit is normal. It's completely normal to rely on somebody a little bit. Relying on someone to decide how you live your own life is not. Stay balanced. Rely on the other when it's needed. When you need to talk to somebody about something, talk to them about something. If this is a good way to tell, if you're scared to talk to somebody about something because of their reaction that they might give, that should tell you already. Back the fuck up. You should not be scared to talk to somebody about your feelings. If you trust that person, if you say that person is your friend, you should not be scared for their reaction. You should not be scared. You should not have to brace yourself for what's about to happen. That is not okay. There is nothing right with that. And there is so much toxic behavior in doing that. Then everybody is guilty of it. Every single person is guilty of it. Every single one. And it's just a matter of realizing it, noticing, hey, I'm scared to go talk to that person because of their reaction the reaction that they might have. That's a red flag. You don't feel comfortable talking to that person. You might say you are, but you obviously don't. Actions and words, you guys already know. But let me read the conclusion again. In conclusion, being dependent on someone a bit is normal. Relying on someone to decide how you live your life is not. Stay balanced. Rely on other people when it's needed. Very, very important. Jeez. So that's a lot already. But anyways, so I found this video and I love everything it has to say. So we're just going to listen. We are going to vibe and just hear her out.
You can watch the best parts of this series at medcircle.com.
What does DPD look like in a parent?
So in a parent who has dependent personality disorder is often going to be, if there's another parent in the house, they're often going to be very reliant on that other parent for making decisions for the family. They're probably very much going to socialize their child to never rock the boat. They'll be very, very sort of shy about ever approaching that child's teachers if there's ever a problem. So they're often not very effective advocates for their children because they're so afraid of rocking that boat and making waves. lives, they may actually train their children to be a little bit dependent, you know, that the world's a very dangerous place and you better make sure you fit in, make sure you don't stick out, make sure nobody thinks you're being strange or unusual, so they can really foster that anxiety in their child. So it's, you know, and they also may sort of stunt their own child because they don't want their child to go and leave them on their own. So they may actually make the child quite fearful themselves because they feel you don't want to be out there on your own. It's a very scary world out there. You don't want to go live by yourself. And so that child may internalize that. And I would say a child who has a parent with dependent personality style or disorder, as soon as they turn 18, they're either going to run away as far as they can, or they're really going to stick close for a long time and foster those patterns within themselves.
What about for the spouse who has DPD? What does that look like?
So if you're the spouse of someone who has dependent personality, initially you might have thought you've met someone who's really sort of quiet and yielding and maybe shy and doesn't like to make a lot of noise. And that might even be a little relieving for you, because especially if you just came out of another relationship where someone was more combative and antagonistic and fighting. Over time, it can be frustrating, because especially when big ticket decisions come along and you want them to weigh in, hey, should we buy this house? We'll do anything you want, honey. And then you'll say, help me out here. We're about to make the biggest decision of our lives. So it can start feel frustrating because the spouse who doesn't have dependent personality may start feeling more like a parent. And so they're sort of will feel like this differential in the relationship. The danger is that's if you have a nice, well put together spouse. If you have a spouse who is narcissistic or psychopathic or otherwise antagonistic, high conflict, or difficult, they really might take advantage of that situation. And it might become abusive. They may say really callous things to this person with dependent personality who they know will never leave. They could take financial advantage of them. They may be physically abusive to them, knowing the person with dependent personality will probably never leave. And so there can be a danger in that dynamic too.
Thanks for watching. Your next step is to go to medcircle.com and finish.
So as you guys have just heard, all of that is so, like when she was talking about the parent thing, I had that huge issue. I love my dad. God bless wherever you are, art in heaven, and I will always love my dad, and he was a great dad, and you know, like any parent, he did his damn best, you know what I mean? But I will say, my father did not want me leaving the house. He didn't want me hanging out with people, really. He was a I'd rather be safe than sorry type of parent. And he kept me in the house a lot. I wanted to go out a lot. I wanted to hang out with my friends a lot. He didn't trust. He didn't trust the world. I don't know. He just didn't trust the world. When she was saying parents will sometimes put it into their kid, you don't want to be out there. You don't want to be out there by yourself. It's a scary place. It's, you know what I mean? Which it is. It can be a scary place, but there's a right way to introduce that to a child and a wrong way to introduce that to a child. Keeping your child sheltered away from the world is not the way to go. And because of those issues and because of those things that I've dealt with, I mean, that's reason number one of why I'm so dependent, or why I can be so dependent on others, is because it has been instilled in me to just honestly kind of be scared and be a little bit aware. I've always been told growing up that, oh, I'm a small, pretty girl, and to always be scared. And unfortunately, I can tell you that, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't say that they're right to be scared, but I could see, unfortunately, I can see why they said that. I've been in situations of where my parents or my family has said to me, "You're a small, petite girl in the world. Be careful." You know what I mean? There's been situations where I can't do it, like be myself. I can't do anything. I can't say anything. I can't look a certain way. Like, I mean, it's disgusting. Men will touch. It's fucking gross. Men will touch. men will make assumptions about you. I mean, like, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting, the level of disrespect women, like that have gotten. And I know how that sounds, and I never in a million years thought that I should be scared of just being a beautiful young woman who happens to be 5 foot tall. But that's the reality that we live in. That is the reality we live in, and you gotta be a bit more thoughtful of those things. I mean, you shouldn't have to be, but it's just, that's the life, But yeah, no, I totally got what she was saying. And then she was going into the relationship side of it, and she was talking about, when you're in a good relationship, like with a good person, and you mention, oh, I want to buy a house, or should we get this house? And, and they delay it, and they keep delaying it, because, like she said, they start to feel like a parent. They don't, you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be, they don't think the right time is now, and they feel like now they have this they think that you need guidance in a relationship sometimes when you say things like that when they're not ready, and that's not always a good thing. But on the other side, I mean, there's women who get beat. It's just sad. It's just sad how that has happened. But I mean, I've heard men get beat too. It's like, I've heard some crazy shit, but it can go both ways. Being a dependent, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a matter of be dependent until you find your own independence, until you can find your voice, until you know what that is for yourself, by yourself. For sure. There's a lot of good information here we got going on. So in conclusion, being dependent on someone a bit is normal. Relying on somebody to decide how to live your life, how to live your own life, is not. Stay balanced. Rely on other people when it's needed, when you need somebody. I guess it wouldn't be you need. Let's change it. We'll change need. There. We're going to change it. We're changing needed to wanted. So let's read it again. Being dependent on someone a bit is normal. Relying on someone to decide how you live your own life is not. Stay balanced and rely on others when it's wanted. That sounds a lot better. That sounds way better. Rely on other people when it's wanted. Don't just have people in your life for specific needs. Want these people, care about these people, put their feelings into consideration. Otherwise, that person's not your friend, or don't make that person your boyfriend, or, don't consider that person family. Like, what? Family, just because you're related to somebody with blood doesn't mean they're your family. I've created my own family, and I love my family. It's a lot of great things, and the people that I can be dependent on care about me, and they have my best interest, or they have my best interest. They want what's best for me. There we go. That's a better way to say that. So anyways, I hope you guys loved the podcast today. I hope this has taught you a little something, a little something. And I love you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow for independence. I guess, yeah, independent.